This is it, guys. We're extending our Cyber Monday sale for one more day. You can get 30% off across all plan levels on CLP for the life of the subscription. Just click on the link in the description, only for today. This is going to be Andrew from Arizona. Hello, Andrew.
Hey, Bart.
So you are in Arizona. Are you playing out a talking stick?
I play there, but this hand happened in Las Vegas. A few weeks ago, I was up there for a golf tournament fundraiser. So
Oh, okay.
I was playing on one of the days and had this hand go down. So yeah.
Whereabouts? Where?
Yeah, I went down to the South Point to play this day. I was staying down in Henderson. So this was at the South Point. It's a day game on a Sunday.
Oh, there's a couple of subscribers that grind at the South Point. I think they're like in their 70s. They're in their yeah. It's an old man's game. So South Point.
It is, but there was there's a 510 that runs there sometimes. It wasn't running this morning. I was in there like about 11 a.m. There was 1-2-5 game that was running, and they started a second one, which was a must move that I was in, and it was quite a few regs in the main game. And this happened right when I got moved to the main game.
Where's the what's the cap in this game?
I believe it was 1,500. Oh, I think it's 1,000.
1,000 cap. You know, so I'm going into Vegas, obviously, for the WPT free roll on December. I'm actually getting in there on December 11th to play on December 13th, that big $5 million free roll. Again, I have 4 more golden passports. 2 people are being drawn tomorrow, and then another 2 the following Tuesday. They gave me 20 free seats. And for some reason, if you haven't signed up, you can go to ClubWPTGOLD.com and use the code BART, and you can get into the final 2 drawings. But
that was a nice plug. Can you have him pull my name, please? Because I'm in the bucket.
What's
I'm in the bucket.
Yeah, the WPT does all the draw. People are like, who won? I'm like, they tell me. All right, South Point 251K. Okay.
Yeah, okay. So I just got moved from the must move to the main game. There's a lot of big stack. Looks like a bunch of regs, honestly. I was kind of like, oh, this game looks a little tougher. But I was there for about a half hour, and one of the guys comes over from the must move also, and he was a reg, walked up with a backpack, Asian guy, just early 30s, talking about the game last night with another reg. So it was obvious that he was a winner, a winning player, pro. So he comes over and he is like second to act. It's like a 9-handed game. And his first hand, he sits down, he has me covered. 2,200 effective, he covers me.
Oh, so you're up a little bit, maybe.
Yeah. I lost a buy-in, set over set, and then I double up full house over lower full house. So it was kind of a weird. But he saw both hands, this guy. So he saw me kind of show a very strong hand, and I really hadn't shown much else. So I think he probably viewed me as pretty tight and maybe, a little bit conservative.
Well, I mean, and also too, it goes for your image too, right? You like to have a short-term good image. So 2,200 effective, okay.
Yeah. So he sits down and like his first hand, he raises it to 20.
Okay.
He's like second to act. I'm in the cutoff, and there's a lot of deeper stacks and a lot of reggy looking players. So I'm in the cutoff with ace 3 of diamonds.
Mm-hmm.
And I 3-bet 270. I figure I'd rather play his hand heads up, and I position and make sure I buy the button and not invite someone else to squeeze. This guy just sat down.
I mean, that's the idea, right? I mean, that's the idea that you a lot of times in the field, you want to play obviously like a 3-better fold strategy, but I think with ace 3 of diamonds here in the cutoff in a 2-blind game against a guy with like early position, maybe at the stack depth, it might be like 50-50. I might actually call here a lot. Anything closer than the cutoff is you definitely want to probably lean towards more 3. And then if there's ever a straddle, it's that's the one thing I've really tried to drive home, is because as more and more 3-blind games proliferate, you shouldn't really be doing a whole lot of flat calling.
Yeah, I figured I'd get a little more credit. Just I hadn't played a lot of hands with him before, and I might have played one hand at this table in a half hour. So I make it 70, folds back around, and pretty quickly he makes it 200.
So folds back to +2, and he 4-bets to 200. So 20 to 70, and he goes to 200. So the pot's like 270. So it's like 280, like 130 for you to call. So you're getting like 2.5 to 1. This is always kind of interesting because I would say that, well, it's not like you're getting like cold 4-bet when somebody goes to like 2.1x, and I just feel like you're sort of forced to defend with everything to a 4-bet because, except maybe like some of your worst bluffs, he went to a full 200 and he's also not cold 4-betting. So if you take a look and you're saying, well, I'm folding a certain number of hands here that I 3-bet to a 4-bet from the EP opener because he went to almost 3x, say even if you're just like folding out like the bottom, say like 20% of hands or the bottom 10% of hands, ace 3 of diamonds very well might be in there. I don't know how much 3-bet bluffing you're doing, but...
Yeah, no, I thought about that. I just thought it would be way too nitty to 3-bet and then fold to a 4-bet this deep. I feel like I could navigate okay, but in retrospect, maybe yeah, I can fold and it's not the worst leak in the world, I guess. Yeah.
Sounds like you call though.
I did call.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, and to be fair, you know, he you know, I just feel like I didn't see him 3-bet much, let alone 4-bet yet. I did see him squeeze once the other table, so I saw him squeeze and show 4 hearts one time. So I mean, whatever. I mean, I know he's capable of not being always really strong in this spot. So I could be ahead too. I don't know.
I don't know about that. I don't know how often I see these 4-bets. And then, again, the other thing though too, like I said, is that just as another quick little thing, it's not like it's necessarily like even I feel like it's almost even a tighter range, because let's say that this guy opens, right? And then you 3-bet. And then let's say the guy in the small blind has like 10s or 9s or one of these in-between hands where he doesn't want to call, even though you can sometimes get away from that. But let's say somebody in the small blind, let's say all the people behind you are playing 4-bet or fold here in a configuration. They're going to have more hands that are kind of in between as a 4-bet because they're playing 4-bet or fold. Whereas this guy, there's nothing going on in between. Like he can just call with a lot of like he doesn't have to 4-bet like 9s, queen jack suited, stuff like that. I mean, that's just a little thing. I mean, is there 4-bet bluffing? Yeah, I mean, I suppose, but I mean, it is somewhat early versus 3-bet. But okay, you make the call, the pot's 410. Okay.
Let me ask you real quick. So, being deeper doesn't make it more of a call, or being shorter makes it more of a call?
No, I think being deeper makes it more of a call. Sure, absolutely. Okay. I mean, if that came into play, no, being shorter would not want it. I think it would, but being shorter would make. See, ace X suited is a little bit different. The easy answer to that is like being shorter would make like a hand like 7-8 suited or 5-6 suited that you 3-bet way less of a call, right? And being deeper would make it way more of a call, right? Pairs are similar to that as well. Although you do see a lot of defending with pairs. Although, you know, you look at this stuff and like ace X suited does have a lot, like it has some value in the sense of just because when you flop top pair, you can just be good. Whereas opposed to like 5-6, want a shorter stack, you're really looking for more high card value. So I think it leans it more towards a call. I still think I might have folded. But anyways, 410 to the flop, okay.
All right. Well, the flop is pretty magical. The flop comes 9 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, 2 of diamonds.
So Hero defends the 4-bet with ace 3 of diamonds and flops 9 of diamonds, 4 of clubs, deuce of diamonds, right? Is that right? So you flop a gut shot, wheel draw, and the nut flush draw, and that's a lot of equity against most hands. If he doesn't have aces here, like if he's got kings or queens, you've got as many as 15 outs. You're probably a small favorite against over pairs here that aren't aces.
That was my thought right away. Yeah. He bets 200 half pot.
So plus 2 bets 200. It's also interesting too about this type of sizing. This is in between sizing. It's a 4-bet pot. We know that you're supposed to c-bet a lot in 4-bet pots, and almost with most of your range on everything except like some of the worst boards. Now the sizing comes into play here too, because a lot of times on lower boards, you get to go much larger. And if I were him and I had like kings or aces here, I would start to try to want to get some money in here. Like if he goes 200 call, the pot will be what, 800, and then you guys would have like 1600 left, so about 2 SPRs moving to the turn. I just personally think if I were him and I had like a big pair, I actually might go a little bit larger here. But okay, so he sort of goes in between here for 200. Now, the only thing I'll say here, Andrew, it's probably going to be a little bit hard to fuck this hand up when you have so much equity here, right? Against like these types of hands, except for, and by the way, even if he has aces, you still have like, it's still he might be like 55%. The only thing that I will say here is that it probably, I mean, I know you want to start shoveling money in, and if you're ahead, and even if he still doesn't fold, I mean, even if there's a sliver of fold equity, it's probably not that bad with so much equity. But if you raise, you're really not repping a whole lot here, right? Because you're never going to 3-bet call with like deuces or fours, right? There's no 2-pair viable, and I guess the only set that you would have, I mean, I guess you could have like a square 9-9. Most of the time, those hands are kind of called. And I'll just throw a thought out at you here, Andrew. I feel like if you want to max fold equity on this hand, if you want to play this hand for max fold equity, you might get more credit if you just jam turn. Like if you call flop and jam turn, you might get a little bit more credit, especially if it's any type of turn that might credibly give you another one of the sets. I just think that 9-9 always takes that line like that. And if you raise here, you just might never get fold. You might never get overpairs to fold. Now, with that being said, if you do get a blank on the turn like a 7, your equity has gone down, right? Your equity's gone down because you've burned off a card. But I mean, again, I think that, sure, you can have some raises and you would want to have the ones with your biggest draws. So it can't be that bad to raise.
Is there a smaller size you can do here where just kind of like
Sure.
the full ace king out maybe or something like that?
Well, I mean, I would think that you're going to make that raise. Oh, you mean like make it like 500, 550. And then if he calls, like take a card on the turn, you mean? Something like that?
I could still jam the turn. It still looks like a big bet. Or if he goes all in, I'm obviously not folding. I'm just, it can get him to fold some of his better hands now, like his ace king or his ace queen.
Well, I mean, I don't think you have to go that large anyways, right? Because even, I mean, you started with 2,200, so your value raise and your bluff raise is probably going to be the same amount. Because even if you went to like 550 and you called, the pot's going to be 1,500, and you guys are going to have like, what, 1,300 left or something like that. So
yeah. Well, I just called. I was thinking about raising. I mean, I don't think it's the worst play in the world. I feel like I can navigate it really easily this way.
Now, are you playing it? Are you gonna have some turn raise bluffs here, or are you just playing it sort of cautiously?
I would say I'd like to say it was to think about turn raising, but I was being a little cautious in this situation. But I think I was thinking it was still a possibility on the turn. I just wanted to see kind of what he did on the turn and see what came on the turn.
Now, just a thing again, just a thing for some people in the chat here is that people are saying, well, just jam, jam, jam. So again, obviously, if he's ahead, his pot share in the pot's going to be larger than his opponent's pot share, right? Let's say Andrew's 55%, something like that. But if we were to say that an overpair is never going to fold here because it's not believable and it's a 4-bet pot, you could play the hand more profitably by trying to get fold equity later on in the hand, and also proper kind of doing like a equity realization type of thing, because the equation's going to change on the turn, whether he makes it or not. I'm just saying that just because you're ahead now at 55%, if you have 0 fold equity, you could certainly play the hand in a more profitable manner by not raising. That's all I wanted to say. All right, so the pot's 8-10.
Yep, 8-10. The turn is a 6 of hearts.
6 of hearts. So that doesn't improve your equity at all.
Not at all.
And the other issue here, and the other thing about here is that like I said, I would almost rather see like a jack or a 10, or sometimes even a queen if somebody's not always going to 4-bet you, because those are like way more likely to hit you. Because now all of a sudden, like if it's a jack, now you've got like 2 of the top types sets. Here, you're not going to have 6s, and it doesn't really change anything.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, I was thinking that too. He bets 450.
So
I got a decision here. I'm obviously not folding. I just want to know what you're thinking now, if it changes at all.
So now UTG bets 450. So I would look at the math here. So if you were to call, the pot would be 1,700. Before the turn call, you guys have committed 400. So you've got 1,800 that you start the turn with. If you call, the pot's going to be 1,700, and you'd have like 1,400 left. See, if you were just a little bit deeper, it's still about a pot size bet. It's still about a pot size bet. All I'm saying here is that you actually might get more believability by waiting to the turn to raise, but the fact that you haven't improved your equity and the fact that the 6 doesn't really change anything might lean me more towards a call. I'm telling you, if it was like a 10, a jack, a queen, maybe even an 8, I would seriously consider putting maximum pressure on him because it's another set of hands that he loses to. But on this 6, he's going to be getting over 2-1. So it really comes down to, if I jam here for 1,400 more, basically if I'm jamming here for 1,800 total, are guys going to, are they going to 4-bet fold off like queens, kings here if you jam turn? Because really, again, you're repping like 9-9. I suppose you could be slow playing ace-ace here too.
Yeah. Yeah. I thought about all that again, and maybe it's a little bit of caution and a little bit of, not repping a whole lot still, because I didn't raise the flop. I think he thought I might raise back with 9s in the flop. I don't know. I feel like I had a pretty nitty image.
Now, YG in the chat says, or villainous snap calling over pairs to jam. I mean, I kind of tend to agree. I kind of tend to agree in a live type of format. There is another, once in a while, I suppose he could still have ace king here. I mean, it's not necessarily like the best. It's not the best turn card for him. But if I play a 4-bet pot with ace king and I'm blocking you having aces and kings, I will sometimes take that as a like a triple barrel in a 4-bet pot.
Do you give him credit for having any kind of draws himself, like a 6-5 of diamonds, or
I mean
7-8 of diamonds, or I'm saying, it's possible.
It's possible. Right? I mean, it's possible. So I see. It sounds to me like you called again, right? Hero calls.
I did call again.
All right. So now the pot's 17-10, and you have 6, 8, 50, like just maybe 1350 left, something like that. 1450, 13 to 1400, something like that.
Yeah, I was playing a lot of the cards out in my head, what I would do, but I wasn't really thinking about the river, what it would be. When it came an ace of clubs.
Ace of clubs. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So the river is the ace of clubs. Now, let me ask you this question, right? So what if I don't know what's going to happen here on the river. What if he checks?
I was going to bet.
Right.
I was going to bet. I'm probably not going to go all in, but I'm probably going to bet something chunky, like 700 maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think the river is a bet for sure, right? Because like, I mean, I guess he could have ace king here, but it makes a lot of assumptions. You block ace king, and obviously you block having, ace ace. And I think, yeah, I mean, you're going to target like queens or kings or something like that. What happened?
He jams pretty quickly. I mean, not like instantly, but it took him about, I don't know, 5-10 seconds.
I mean, oh man, at this point, so what hands do this for value? Because your hand looks so much like, this is almost like a game of chicken here, in the sense that on one side of this, you don't normally see a live player at 2-5 just bluff off their entire stack in a 4-bet pot like this. On the other side of this is like devil and angel. It's like, what kind of hand? Your hand looks so much like, say, like 10s plus here. Is he expecting you to call here with those hands? Like, so is he jamming, having like ace king here? Now, it is less than a pot size bet, but remember, it's a small stakes exploit here. Like in live poker, it's more of like the absolute pot size as opposed to, it's the absolute bet size as opposed to like the percentage of the pot. I might get curious here. I might get curious here. Now, you are blocking, obviously, some of the diamonds. I'm looking at the live chat here, but you block having pocket aces, and I just don't know if somebody. Is there ever a possibility that the guy could ever be doing something worse for value, like have something here with ace queen? I think the only thing, and the other flip side to this that kind of puts pause and possibly makes me think about folding is that you might have some ace king here too. So he'd be jamming right into having ace king because he bet 200 on the flop. I assume you're continuing 450 on the turn, half pot. Maybe you have some folds out with ace king on the turn, but I don't know, man. This one's close. I mean, I don't think people seem to be saying, well, some people are saying snap fold, some people are saying snap call. Whatever decision you make, I think it's going to be kind of close.
Yeah, it took a while. I mean, if he had ace king, would he jam?
Well, that was what my question was.
Wouldn't he want to call? Wouldn't he want someone to call with like tens or jacks?
That's exactly what I said, right? Like your hand looks so much like tens plus. Is he expecting you to call with those hands by jamming ace king, right? Now, like online or in a specific theoretical sense, this very well might be a jam from him with ace king from up front. In reality, live, it doesn't necessarily compute as much, where if I called and he showed me ace king, I would feel very, very badly because you don't want him to have ace king. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want him to have ace king. If he's capable or if he's making this play with ace king and he's truly balanced like this, then it's a much, much harder call. But in live, I very well might flick in the call here. I very well might flick in the call.
If he has ace king, he doesn't have a draw with it. He's got an ace king with no, I mean, maybe some backdoors in the flop, like, but there's no ace king of club because the ace king at the end of clubs. There's no, I mean, there's really no backdoors with his ace king.
Well, he just wouldn't be, he wouldn't, I mean, right. He can't have ace 10 of diamonds and he can't have ace king of clubs. I mean, those are the suited ones. But I mean, that's just assuming that he's structuring. But I mean, he could just take ace king possibly, and he was going to do what I had said anyways. See, if I was your opponent and I was going to try to put you to the test against like for your entire stack with like, say like tens through queens or something like that and got like a sort of a raggedy run out, I might bluff at the end. But now when the ace comes here at the end, I guess being truly balanced, you might jam anyways. But again, that might not be the reality. I might size down.
Yeah, and if he had kings, he would size down too, right? You think?
I don't think he's jam. I mean, that I think is a mistake.
Yeah,
I think because I think you have some ace king here.
Yeah, I was confused because I couldn't figure out like what value hand he would have unless I was just unlucky against aces. You know.
Yeah.
I was just trying to figure out like what he could possibly have. Yeah. I was on the fence. I ended up calling.
Okay.
I was just confused because I couldn't figure out enough value hands that he would play this way.
Yep.
Yeah. He just like put his head down. He said good call. And
nice.
He turned over king 10 of spades.
Well, that's pretty out there.
Was surprising. Yeah.
I mean, I say that it's pretty out there, but I think what you'll find though is this will be a bluffed spot. Now, whether his structure, I mean, he didn't flop any type of backdoors or anything like that, but if you sort of picture like, okay, he's going to 4-bet sort of the bottom hands of a 4-betting range, and he's going to play it like he's got an overpair like the whole way. And then on the river, he gets like what he deems to be like one of the best cards in the world. Because like, are you calling here with like tens through kings, tens through queens?
I'm not, no.
Yeah.
So I feel like I got kind of owned in some way. I know I called and I won the hand, but I feel like I would have folded if I didn't hit an ace or a diamond or a gut shot. So I feel kind of like his.
Well, I wouldn't feel owned because at least you've called with ace X. I mean, you'd be owned if you didn't call with ace X, right?
I would have gotten bluffed off of everything.
Well, that's why I don't think his line is in reality that bad, besides the fact that maybe you don't structure that specific hand on this specific board. Like maybe you start it with 3 of the 4 king 10 suiteds that have the back door. He doesn't have anything on the flop.
Like listening to a lot of your shows and a lot of the calls and hearing some of the weird stuff that happens on the river, I've just learned that you have to, against capable players, you have to at least have some calls. I've learned that where I think I would have folded this spot at some point, in the past. So I just learned that you have to have some more calls. So, that helped in this regard. But I do feel like, it's tough to play. Obviously, that's why this guy's a winning player.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just odd, but I also thought about a lot of the stuff that you've gone through on this show when I was kind of breaking it down.
Yep.
That you have to have some calls, and this is a hand I can call with, I guess.
Hey, Andrew, I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.